Hello and welcome to another Giant Take Podcast YouTube video. Today we're going to be talking about the Senior Bowl, some of the best prospects from the Senior Bowl who stood out and really boosted their draft stock over this past week. So to start out, we've got Malik Willis. He has just really been explosive for Liberty, and he was extremely explosive in this few days of practices and also the game itself. He had that very big long run that almost got a touchdown, but he got tackled within the 10-yard line. 6'1", 225 QB, originally was at Auburn before transferring to Liberty. And this during the Senior Bowl, you just wanted to see we wanted to see what could he do at the basic level. We knew he had a rocket of an arm. We knew he had the athleticism. We knew he could create big plays, but what we really wanted to see was, could he do the fundamental things right? And for the most part, he did at the Senior Bowl. And that was very good to see. And I think that solidified him as a first-round pick, possibly even a top 10, 15 pick. And his stock boosted massively due to the Senior Bowl. So good for him. And certainly someone to watch out for. And I think it's really the kind of the story of this draft. If I'm going to be honest, I still think he's probably QB2 behind Kenny Pickett, but it's certainly a very close race between those two. And Malik Willis's upside just cannot be ignored. And that's something you're going to have to take into account. And all these teams are going to have to take into account, including the New York Giants. I guess we'll go on to the next player here. Trey Mcbride, tight end out of San Diego State. Where did I get that from? Colorado State. 260, 6'4", 2021 John Mackey Award winner, best tight end in the nation, 2021 All-American. And he was just really good this Senior Bowl. We saw him make difficult contested catches. We saw him do some good blocking in the running game. And he had a touchdown as well in the ball game itself, courtesy of Desmond Ridder. So very good performer, and certainly someone who could sneak into the back end of the first round with his boosted stock after a few good days of practices and an impressive performance on game day. So Trey McBride, certainly someone who, is going to rise up draft boards, and he will probably be tight end 1 off the board. So another great prospect. Probably the person who was the most impressive. He was named kind of like the best practicer of the week. He won the award for kind of like best player over the few days of practice. Zion Johnson, guard out of Boston College, 6'3", 316, and he was just really, really good. Up against some of these really good defensive linemen. We'll talk about one of them later, but he held his own. We saw him take snaps at center and really just bully guys around. And out of those interior guys, he certainly was the best. And I think he's moved himself up from probably a mid to late second round pick to a late first, early second round pick. And another person the Giants might want to consider. And Zion Johnson, certainly a very good prospect and probably behind Tyler Linderbaum, might be the second best interior prospect in this class. And we'll have to see what happens at the combine and et cetera. So another really great performance, another guy who really boosted his stock this week at the Senior Bowl. And another guy who is a big boy on the offensive line, Trevor Penning, out of Northern Iowa. This guy just bullied people around this week. And he was the only offensive lineman named as a finalist for the Walter Payton Award, presented to the National Offensive Player of the Year. And that you don't see often. You don't see an offensive tackle get placed on the Walter Payton Award finalist list. And he is truly impressive. He's a mauler. He just pushes over guys. He bullies guys. And his attitude is just something you don't see from a lot of offensive linemen. And, he has really good technique. And he certainly, jumped up probably from a late first, early second round guy to more of a mid first round guy, and, solidifying himself as a top 5 tackle in this draft. So another guy who did himself only good in this week at the Senior Bowl. And I'm excited to see what he does as well and where he could possibly land in the draft. Another guy who will want to see what he does at the combine in terms of his measurables, but certainly another very intriguing prospect. What I would say about the Senior Bowl so far is I've known about all these guys up until, the Senior Bowl. I did not know about this guy. Travis Jones, defensive tackle out of UConn, junior, 6'4". He was monumental. He just bullied everyone. He was winning every single one of his pass rushes. It felt like, even against Zion Johnson, he had a couple of wins. And this guy looked like a very, very good interior guy. And really the whole story of the Senior Bowl was the two trenches, the defensive line, the offensive line. Those were going to be the two really strong areas in this draft. And it kind of lived up to that. I think the defensive line has a slight edge. You saw guys like Devontae Wyatt also perform quite well. This was certainly a strong class, but Travis Jones boosted his draft stock probably by a couple rounds. And he definitely had the most significant increase. And I'm excited to see where he ends up going. And another player who can get pressure from the interior in 2019, I have his stats here. He had 40 tackles, 3.5 sacks, and 1 fumble recovery. He played solid for Connecticut, and I'm excited to see what he does here at the combine as well, and moving forward into this draft season. One guy I want to give a special mention to before we close it out, Damion Pierce, running back out of Florida. I thought he was really good blocking, and he had a low workload in college, a little over 100 snaps in college, or 100 touches in college. That kind of translates nicely to the NFL. It means he's got a lot of fuel left in the tank, and certainly someone, I don't want to say he kind of reminds me a bit of like an AJ Dillon. If you're a Giants fan, Brandon Jacobs type guy. He's a tough runner. He's a good blocker, and certainly someone who I think will, I'm not sure if he went up this week due to some of his, due to his running specifically, but some of the pass blocking and the logistical things, such as his workload in college, make him a very interesting prospect. And I'm certainly going to look more into him. And we'll be talking about actually on the YouTube channel what running backs we really like in this class. Josh will be back for that one. And, maybe he'll be on there, maybe he won't. But certainly another guy we want to look more into. So make sure to check that out later in the week. But another guy who really impressed in the Senior Bowl, and a lot of people raised their stock. I know there's plenty of other, players that, did very well this week. Didn't get a chance to mention them all, but certainly, I wouldn't say it was the biggest Senior Bowl in terms of big risers and monumental performances, but I think it was solid. And, we'll see what the Giants do in terms of evaluating these players. I know under Dave Gettleman, the Senior Bowl was a very big deal. So we'll see what happens if that's the same with Joe Shane. But yeah, thank you everyone for watching today's video, and we'll see you all next time with another Giant Take video.